Hey everybody, I thought I might do an art project for you today. These are the things you're going to need. Some paper, and I just used some paper that's already been used. I'm just drawing on the back a marker or a pen or a pencil. Some old crayons, which I know everybody has some of those. Wax paper, your mom could probably get you some of that in the kitchen. An iron. A stapler if you have one. If not, tape will work just fine. But that's the things that you need. And we're going to start off first with drawing a flower. We're going to make a flower today, and there's a lot involved, so just stick with me, and if you need more time, just pause this video. The first thing you're going to want to do on your paper, a little bit over halfway up, you're going to want to draw a circle. This will be the center of your flower. And then you're going to want to draw each petal. Kind of curve them in like that. Then your next one is going to start right on top of the line. Curve in. Same here, you just go all the way around. Till you get to the end. Next, you're going to want to draw the stem. So you start with just a line coming straight down and curve it a little bit. You want to draw very, very close to that line. Next, you're going to add a leaf. When we're finished, you may and may not see these little details, but I like to add them anyway. And then lastly, you're going to want to draw a pot. Okay, so there we have our flower. Now, the next step you're going to want to take is take your wax paper. You're going to want to lay one sheet of wax paper over top of your flower. Now, you can, if you can't draw that flower and you want to do something, or you want to do something else, you can print the picture off from the internet, just on a printer, and use a picture that's already been printed. But most of you like to draw, so I figured we'd draw something. You can tell that I've taken my old crayons here, and I've had to take the papers off of them. And I took the crayon, broke them up, put them in one of these plastic bags, and then I took my meat tenderizer hammer, and I beat those crayons and chopped them up really small. If your parents are there to help you, they can also use a knife and chop them, or scissors and cut them up. Either one of those will work. But I've already pre-made some of mine, but I wanted to do some in front of you. This is the green. I took, looks like 4 different colors of green here. I sort of did that on purpose and just sort of went with what I had. And this is what I found in there. So I put those in the bag. I take my hammer. Some of them do break up a little easier than the others. I know it's really weird, but I found that the Crayola crayons do break up easier and better, actually, than the cheaper version crayons. So I'm going to take all of my crayons, my green that I just made, put them in this cup. Now I have like a mixture. It's not one color of green, it's a mixture of greens. So I'll be using those later on. Now, with my flower, there's 2 things I can do here. I can leave it as is, or I can take a marker and trace it onto the wax paper. But I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to take these different colors. Like the center, I'm going to make yellow. I'm going to try to keep that inside the lines. I'm just taking my different colors. And you all know how I am with mixing my colors. So I'm going to add a little bit of every color in each petal of this flower. And this looks like it's way too many because once it melts down, it's going to spread out because it liquefies. I'm going to take just a few off. Okay, let's get those out of the way. Now, once I've got those on there, I can add some of my other colors. Okay, maybe add some of this red. The cool part about the red and the pink mixture is I found some that have glitter in them, so that's going to look pretty cool. That's probably a little too much crayon, so I'll come back and clean that out in just a few minutes. So do about maybe half of what I have here. Next, I'm going to take my green, put it on my leaf, which that green didn't break up very well. What I'm going to try to do here is come down and make my stem trying to keep this in order so it'll melt like I want it to. Okay. It's probably too much of that. All right, and then last, I think I'm gonna go with this purple that I had for my pot. So I've got up here. And then I might add the red. Yeah, the red at the bottom. Okay. So we're going to take a break right now, and I'm going to clean some of this out before we use the iron, and I'll show you what to do then. All right, we're back. I did, by the way, go ahead and trace over the flower to put the marker onto the wax paper to hopefully show a little more detail. I went back and I cleared out some of my crayon where I had a little too much, so that is what I have so far. Now I'm going to take my other piece of wax paper and I'm going to lay it over top of it. Now this is where you're going to want to make sure you get your parents to help because you can get burned off of this. We're going to be using the iron, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my towel here that I had. I'm going to lay the towel over top of my wax paper and my crayon art. This is mixed media, guys. We're using crayons and marker, and but we're not using crayons as crayons. We're using it as something else, so it's mixed media. I'm going to take my iron and I'm just going to lay it on top here. And slowly move it over. And hopefully what it's doing under there is melting those crayons. You may want to make sure that you use an old towel too, because sometimes the crayon will melt through. Okay, so I'm going to lay my iron down and I'm going to check it. Oh, not yet. So I'm going to just pretty much apply the heat right over top as much as I can. Maybe a little steam will help it move along. Okay, it feels like it's pretty flat now, so let's take a look, see what we have. All right, so it looks a little crazy, and I'm glad that I traced that so I can see what I'm cutting out. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to go back in and let me remove the paper out from underneath, because you're kind of seeing double right there. So if I take the paper out that I drew it on, now you can just see the one flower. So I know where to cut once this cools off just a little bit. So we're going to take another break, and when we come back, I will show you what it looks like after you cut it out. We're back, and as you can see, I'm almost finished cutting mine out. What the stapler was for, if you did not go back and retrace your flower onto the wax paper, you staple the wax paper to the regular paper. That way, when it's finished, you can still see the flower on the regular paper to cut it out like this. And when you're done, you throw the regular paper away, and your actual flower is just what's on the wax paper. Now, as you can see, I'm finished with mine. I'm going to go back here, and I might take my marker and go back and draw that little center of the leaf that we had. And I might add a couple of dots or something in the middle of mine. You don't have to do this, just something extra. Now, I'm going to hold this up to the light. It's dark outside right now when we're doing this, but if you hang these on the window, they make kind of like a stained glass. I don't know if you can tell from the video or not, but the light shines right through it. And that is how you make a stained glass flower. And I hope you enjoy doing that. It should be things that you have around the house. And make sure you get your parents to help. And if you want to take a picture of yours and put it up on the Sublimity PTO Facebook page, that would be really cool too. Have a good time.